Yes, 2025. We are back on Art First. Hello, everybody, and welcome. And what's up, Brian? Happy New Year.
Hello. Good to see you. Good to see this new beard you got going. You're looking like a professor. It's kind of like Goodwill Hunting, Robin Williams vibes. I'm loving it. And yeah, Happy New Year. It's been like a month or so. Lots happened in that time. I mean, we had the holidays, and then I got to go travel to Tokyo last week for Super Chief and Knox Gallery's event, as well as NFT Japan and Ordinals Tokyo. I think I'm saying those right.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a fun few weeks. How have you been?
Busy guy. You've been a busy guy. I've just been sitting home staring at a wall, waiting for you to get back. It's every day.
Well, part of the fun of being in Japan was I got to see our guest.
That's right.
Got to see him do what he does so well, which is make art for people. And then I get to watch those people's reactions when they get it. And it's always so much joy.
He's
proper intro.
That was a great intro. Our guest is a self-proclaimed Stoic. Our guest is a Cubist, and really just been making wonderful art for a long time now. I can't wait to bring him up. Friend of the show, welcome everybody, Gabe Weis. Hello.
Let's go.
Hello. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Pumped to be here. This is checking a box for me as far as like now I've officially made it as an NFT artist. So.
Well, I've always thought you've made it because I think about how I first discovered you. I mean, this goes way back to maybe the ranch days of Clubhouse, because I think we were both collaborating with Dario De Siena.
Yeah.
And then you were just collaborating with like everybody. You were so prolific. You collaborated with Adam.
Yeah, we worked together.
You were just like, everywhere I looked, I saw your work, and it was so distinctly you, because you have this kind of Picasso-esque Cubist abstraction that is so visually you, that it just like proliferated the NFT space for a while there, and it still is. I mean, I think everyone that's had the pleasure of meeting you walks away with a one of one. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday on a Twitter Spaces, and they were talking about how much they love having your artwork on their wall of their house. I think you've just become such an important part of the space for many reasons, but I'm excited to have you on today.
Extremely excited to be here. And early on, I don't think I knew how to mint, so I was like, "Let's collab." So you can do that.
You sent me stuff, and I sent you something. You sent it back, and I was like, "I guess I'll take care of it. No worries, don't worry." No,
the least technical person in this space, I almost guaranteed.
But that's okay. I mean, for someone who's the least technical, you've done some really cool things on the technical side too. I remember the collection that was, I know Danny had done a collection, and then you did something similar, but like with your take on it, and that was a pretty technical collection. I apologize, I forget the name of that collection.
Friends, the Friends by Gabe Weis, which was just taking crowd and doing my own thing.
It was really
cool. To be fair, I like first sentence of the write up on OpenSea, I was like, saw Danny Cole do crowd, loved it, stealing it.
I mean, great artist, right? Great artist steal, right? But make it their own, and everything that you do. Brian's right. It's a very distinct Cubist style, Picasso-esque, but has your own flair, and you see it, and you're like, well, that's a Gabe Weis, unless someone's ripping them off. Like it's really cool to be able to hone in on a style that has also evolved because, again, someone who isn't technical had a pretty incredible drop on Bitcoin ordinals with partnering with Billy Rusty doing that drop was incredible too.
Yeah.
I'm really good at knowing what can be done. I just personally can't do it. So like the Billy Fusion drop was like me calling him up and having this big brain idea and being like, I can't do any of this, but I know you can. And we had gotten we met in like NFT LA and like met over how great our wives were and how much help of a help they are. And then when I saw him blowing up on Bitcoin, we had DM'd a little bit like after that. I was like, hey, can I pitch something to you? And he was game, but it was like my idea, but I sure couldn't have executed it. Like, he's a genius when it comes to ordinals, though.
Well, I think that's such an underappreciated part of this space, is kind of knowing because like everybody wants to learn everything. And as an artist, you're like, oh, I want to learn how to do 3D. I should go do that. But sometimes you have to know your limitations and find someone to augment and collaborate and make those ideas happen in a reasonable time. Because you're trying to learn how to code, it's better to collaborate with a coder that you can kind of art direct and make your idea, versus like struggling to learn a language for half a year. And I think a lot of us always go down this path of trying to do it all ourselves. And I think eventually the people in the space that are really successful have help. And I think, your stuff is so diverse because of that. I think back, there's like 3 NFT NYCs ago, I was walking down the street and I saw a woman wearing a coat that had your art all over the back of it. And I immediately was like, that's a Gabe coat. What the heck? How'd she get that?
Yeah. Once I get in that mode when I'm drawing for people, like everyone's like, draw on me, draw on my arm, draw on my coat. And I'm like kind of just in go mode, like, all right, well, let's give it a whirl.
Has anybody taken those arm drawings and made official tattoos?
A ton.
Yeah.
I think my stuff really lends itself to it.
Definitely.
But yeah, actually, like a surprising amount of people to me, I'm like, that's on you for life.
Like, I just did that. I
was like, I'm 5 beers in and you're gonna like, I was like, I don't remember even doing this drawing and you're gonna put it on you for life.
That's amazing. Speaking of your art, I do want to pull it up right here. Like, here's an example of a beautiful piece called People.
Awesome.
Is that digital or mixture or all collage? Is that painted? It looks like it looks
real.
Yeah, that one's really real. I think I maybe added a little saturation or whatever to it from its original, but that was the early Gabe Weis. Like, I think I had made like $1 million in NFTs before I learned Procreate.
Well, you could finally afford an iPad at that point.
Yeah, I could afford an iPad at that point. Like, I mean, I guess it's just old school. You just go back and kind of smile that I sold so much with like just pictures of my paintings. It was like pretty much what I did.
Did you ever did you give anyone the physicals, or did you retain the physicals?
It's been hit and miss. Like, surprisingly, very few people kind of want them, or like they're not like paired to each other. Mondor in like 2021 got one of my pieces because he was doing the thing where it's like if you included his little guild thing in a piece and it sold, he'd give you like 10%, but then he just bought my piece. So I remember being very encouraged by that. And then several people had bought one of ones for like a lot of money. And then when like May of 2021 hit and things started dipping, I was like, I might never sell a piece for this much again. Like, I gotta at least hook up all these people with painting. So like, I was just shipping them around the world. Some of those early works, just the people that had spent a lot on it. So I was like, I'm gonna probably have to lower my prices at some point if nothing's selling, and I'm never gonna get.
Yeah.
It was a weird moment for sure.
Grand for one NFT again.
Yeah. Didn't you take your work into outer space?
I did. That was
you looked at every single opportunity and you said, I will not pass on anything. That was amazing. It's really impressive, man. It really is.
That was awesome. You were floating around.
I remember seeing you in the vomit comment, right?
Yeah. Even I don't know if you know the artist Soul Curry, Ashita.
Yeah, I love Ashita.
She's one of my favorite people, and we talk every once in a while. We were talking yesterday, and I was like, I think the play is to just get back into like just say yes. I think for a while I was like being a little like more choosy, and now I'm like feel like things were going well when you just say yes to things, and think kind of all of us as NFT artists get in our own head about like release numbers and being overexposed and whatnot. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I think I just need to say yes more.
Attention trickles down. And so like anytime I do a drop, there's usually a reverberation where people go and re-look at old stuff and start picking up old stuff. And then that dies down until there's another drop because you're just off people's radars. And so the more, like you said, saying yes to things and doing drops where you might expand, whether it's a platform or a collaboration or where you kind of reach into a different bubble of community, like ordinals, for instance. It's just a new opportunity to get new collectors and get new eyes on your work. And so I totally agree. Oh, this one's cool.
I love this piece. I saw this last night when I was setting up the show. This is really great. What's going on here in terms of like technique and can you tell us just like
so this is a collaboration with a woman who never got into NFTs ever, named Sandra Boskamp. She's out of Austin, Texas. We did like 3 collabs just as paintings, and this was one of them. And she did the left side, obviously, and then I just sort of painted on top and to the right of it.
It works really well.
It really does. It's gorgeous.
But she's one of these people I just like fell in love with their work. And like, unfortunately, I feel like with NFTs, it's like if the person wasn't in the space, they weren't necessarily helpful for a collab. But like, I just did everything based on art. So I collabed with a lot of smaller artists in ways that I don't think a lot of the big artists ever have done. Or like even this woman is like, Sandra's never released an NFT. So like she wasn't a net plus in selling it, but I was like, I don't care because you're so good at what you do.
Yeah. No, I think that's important though, right? And like in terms of branching out, and sure, it's great whenever a collaboration can enhance both sides and is beneficial in ways that would grow in whatever avenue you're going for. But like at the end of the day, we're artists and we're looking to make the best art that speaks to ourselves. So like being open to things like this, because I know there's definitely a bunch of people who have that mindset that, well, they're not NFTs, I can't work with them, I couldn't. So that's really good on you for that, man.
Yeah, it helps that she's awesome.
Yeah, the Stoics was a really cool project. And this was also, wasn't this the basis for the ordinals, or am I mistaken? That was like
no, the ordinals was just 15 new kind of one of ones that we still have the one of ones and looking for some kind of avenue to sell them or give them to fusion holders, but it was just kind of 15 pieces that I worked on last year that I liked a lot. And then we divided those up into different sections, like fragments that we gave to like the top holders of fusions. And those segments were the thing that went into his algorithm to do the fusion. And it was based on you needed a rare sat too.
Gotcha. This is cool. So mixed media, it looks like a mixed digital, maybe some scans, photography. Street maps.
I think I killed the devs on this one. They were like, this is the hardest project ever. And it used like so much like bandwidth and compute. But I kind of wanted to make a fine art PFP. It was interesting because I posted one on Instagram from this woman who had just spent $500,000 collecting my paintings. And she was like, I have to have this painting. And I was like, well, this is actually a 5K PFP. And she had no reference to NFTs. She's like, I don't know what you're saying, but like, can I just buy this painting from you? Like, we did the thing. It's like a woman who like literally by far spent the most money on me of anyone. Like, can't tell the difference between this and my file.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good
interesting.
sign, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it speaks to
it speaks to
consistency.
it speaks to the quality of the project. But
And yeah,
yeah,
what is
that's awesome.
When you made this, right? So like literally, so you because this is generative of sorts, right? Like in terms of what gets paired with what, but how are you doing that? And again, not on the technical dev side, but more or less like how are you doing that with layers and what gets shown in terms of knockout or an opacity, or like I'm just curious about the process for this.
So I did like a couple hundred of my drawings, and then each little section is kind of its own layer. And so I hand drew a bunch of them, but also, there's a layer that's just blank. So like some of those, I went with all blank, and then I went through and found like every CC0, like there's a bunch of archives around the internet where you can get CC0 stuff. So I found like books like Alice in Wonderland and Brave New World, and like some of the books that Siddhartha, like things that were in the CC0 landscape, but that had shaped me personally. And so I used those. Then I kind of used maps from around the world, different music that I liked, Chinese like writing. And so each little piece could potentially be in there. And then for the backgrounds for this, like that's just like a handmade collage that I have. All right, I did a bunch of, and then I was just taking photos, kind of similar to the Fusion, where it's just little box parts of a bigger collage that I just thought would work.
Nice.
So
yeah, no, that's really cool. I didn't realize and I guess because I've seen some of the backgrounds repeat, but even then there's so many. I mean, that seems like it was probably really
so
important
many.
to have variety.
I mean, and then like honestly, I easily could make another collection because they forgot to put like half of the backgrounds I made.
Oh my gosh! Holy God.
Like Stoics 2 could come out tomorrow and be like the work is already done
Wow.
for it. But it was a labor of love. I mean, I think I spent more time on it than anyone I've ever heard of for an NFT project, and to get on the allow list, you either had to own one of mine, or I had drew a bunch of 101s on the back of these sheets that had a QR code, like a hidden QR code. And so like at VCon, I did a couple hundred. At LA NFT, I did a couple hundred. Like just at every event, I would like bust out a ton of these over the week, and then just made it so that everyone had. The goal was like 1 degree of separation from me, so there wasn't a lot of flippers. And I think between my collectors and the people who I got on the allow list, 4,300 of the 5,000 went to them. And so. Wow. When it went to public, it was sold out in like 5 minutes.
That's really smart.
4,300 had already sold, so it looked like a hot collection.
But I mean,
it was a hot collection.
It was a hot collection,
and for a little bit,
and you got it into hands of people who really appreciated it. I think that's something that, like, especially now that forever and a day now that royalties are dead and no longer a thing. Putting collections into the hands of people who will value the art, because we used to, flippers are important for volume, but at some point that switch, when royalties kind of went away, it wasn't a thing to help the artist, financially, but it was a thing to really kind of like just show, just how in demand the artist was, not even their collection. It's more of a reflection of the artist. But at the end of the day, having these in the hands of people who are more likely to keep the art because they like it and value it, I think at this point is preferred. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Much preferred on my end. I mean, royalties went away a week after my collection dropped. So all of my big plans like literally went up, like the whole team that was behind it just left like right away. And I was like, I don't blame you. There's no money to be made anymore. And we sold it when ETH was like 1100 or something, like the cheapest ETH ever was. So it was like, I'm not like I'm complaining, I did fine, but like it wasn't like 2021 PFP, like it wasn't Oni Force money or something.
Right. There was a moment where you could just poop out a collection and make $1 billion.
Yeah.
But this is good for, especially for like expanding your circle, like what Bryan was saying. Each of these collections seems very intentional, very well thought out. How did you find yourself getting into like this type of art, cubism, and the philosophy of stoicism? I imagine those two things are connected. Or maybe they're not. I don't
No, I mean, I was drawing this way forever. There was something I read maybe 20 something years ago, and it was like if there's a big smile or a big frown or something, it's like there's only one way to interpret the art. And so I've always loved this kind of Mona Lisa-esque, like straight mouth, so that people can really interpret it any way they like for themselves, versus like hand holding them like this is how you need to feel. So my art always kind of had that look. And so when I was trying to debate like what to call it, I'd really gotten into stoicism during the pandemic. It was like, I think I was listening to Tim Ferriss, like first week or two of the pandemic. This is a good time to learn stoicism, like something, because I'm freaking out. Like let's
shift
learn
the perspective a little bit. Yeah.
And it kind of like I really thrived during the pandemic. Like I spent a ton of time hiking in the woods with my kids. Like just got really, I mean, I'm already close with my family, but just doubled down on that. Got a lot better at my art. So I just felt like it was very useful for my personal well-being, and thought the people get way too high in this space when things are going well, and then get way too low when things are going bad. And so in my head, I was like, this space really needs a dose of stoicism. So let's put it out there. And then as far as my style, I'm like the epitome of the 10,000 hour rule. I did politics for 20 years, and that just involves thousands of meetings. And like for my brain to work right in a conversation, it usually helps me to be drawing a little bit. So I would tell the person like, look, I'm going to draw, but that's how I actually,
focus,
pay attention and focus. And then I'll give you the art afterwards. And so I made a lot of friends in politics and community organizing by giving them the drawing. So I kind of knew the power of that, of like everybody in every single office where I worked had a Gabe Weis original. So it's like, if I got in trouble, I'd be like, but Gabe's the nice guy who does the drawings for people.
He can't be that bad. Look at
that bad. He's a little bit of a troublemaker and a shit talker, but he at least like draws for people. So, it was some psychedelic experiences in college that got me on this style, where some stuff jumped out at me, and I was like, I want to just figure out how to make like this. They're all based on this idea of like we live in multitudes. Like I think we're all a lot more complex than what we put on, like the face value of like who is Adam or Bryan. It's like, yeah, but talk to them when they're like tired with their kid. Like they'll be different than eight beers in Tokyo, like type of thing. So like, I don't know. For me, who's always loved politics, I always felt guilty making art, because it was like I was so good at politics. I felt like my time should be spent bettering the world, and art always felt like a little selfish to me. So like a lot of these works is like wrestling with that, like you want to do this, but man, you also love to just like go to Tokyo and eat good sushi and hang out with friends. Like, not everything needs to be like, let's save the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody goes forward and pursues a side passion, like that. So a lot of people just don't even think that they can go and do that, right? Like so many people are doodling on napkins and then love it, but it doesn't look like anything that they could ever make a living out of, let alone, pursue. So
in the Bay Area, I mean, you're New York City, so like there are like probably 6 full-time artists in the Bay. So you probably don't know, because people in New York like live in tiny studios so they can make the art dream work. But like in the Bay, there's just so few of us. So like being a full-time artist was just a pipe dream. Like it wasn't even a pipe dream. Like I was like, that can't happen. Like,
wow.
like I never liked watching TV, so I painted every night for 20 years. Just like from like 9 to 12 was kind of my relaxation. Put on a podcast and paint. But like I never once had the idea like I'm gonna be able to sell these someday.
I mean, I think that speaks to a lot of artists in general who don't set out to create art to make $1 billion, right? They set out to make art to express themselves, to blow off steam, to get their thoughts out, to work through emotions and possibly traumas and whatnot. So I think, I don't know, I think you're not alone in that, but it's a beautiful thing when that art can serve more than just yourself in terms of giving either a voice or sparking an emotion in someone else. And clearly that's what's happened here, with your work.
Well, can I ask about process a little bit? When you're doing these drawings in real life for people, do you set out thinking about it like you would a PFP with traits? Like, this person has curly hair, that's a curly hair trait? Or are you just free form line drawing based on the feel?
It's 100% feel, honestly. Like I wish I had, I mean, maybe a tiny bit of traits. Like it's like with women, I'm just trying to make it, like, for being a weird Cubist face, I'm like literally just trying to make it as pretty as I possibly can. Like no one wants to like get one that's ugly, So I'm like what's the prettiest I can make this face so that they're happy. And then I usually put a crown on it. It's like, you get a crown and some nice, and it looks like pretty good, you're pretty happy if you're a woman. Like the ones for men take me about 1/10 of the time, because that's when like my first 19 years I never did a woman like one of these faces. They were all men. They were all kind of like autobiographical. So to this day, like the muscle memory for a guy one is just like, can just be pretty instantaneous. And every woman one, I'm like, can't give them a huge chin. Like no one's gonna want to know that they have a Jay Leno chin, or whatever.
It can't be a caricature cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. But it, like if they have curly hair, I'll try to incorporate that, or a big like
glasses,
spiky hair, glasses. Like there's things that I'll definitely try to incorporate, but at this point it's pretty much all free flowing.
You ever find yourself incorporating your like if you know the person and maybe positive or negative thoughts about that person or things they've done, like adding things into it that maybe are more for you to know? Or,
like, I'll never tell.
That's not a devil horn. I promise those aren't devil horns. Those are it's just the way that I made the line.
First one I did for Bryan at like Coldie's party in NFT NYC, like 2021. Like, yeah, there's like secret devil horns all over it. He just doesn't know.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah. That's awesome. So do you have a preference on like markers for that kind of stuff?
I really want a sponsorship from Sharpie, just putting that into the universe. Like I've literally tried thousands of different pens, but like the standard Sharpie,
round edge, or do you do the flat edge?
Fine point, like.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
That is standard Sharpie.
The most standard Sharpie just seems to work the easiest, so makes like a bold enough line. So
when you're painting, not with not in Procreate or digital paint, are you using, is it acrylics or oils or pastels, or you just anything
Spray
you
paint.
got around you, or what? Yeah, what's the?
I'm definitely the epitome of mixed media, but like usually how it works is I have these like Japanese graffiti markers that I am obsessed with, and they're oil based, and it makes the most like opaque, like you never have to do it twice. It's like perfect, and they're archival. This guy, I have a friend who owns a graffiti shop in Oakland, and about 15 years ago, he got me on these things, and it totally made my career. Because like I mean, the work you can see like has. I mean, sometimes it's loose, like I kind of call it like a Basquiat style, but a lot of times it's real tight lines, and like I can do, I'll do the image. If I like it, then I just leave it black and white. A lot of times I'll try to paint like real clean in there, and if that doesn't work, then I'll make it pretty loose, and then if that doesn't work, I make it a collage. That's usually the step. So like a collage usually means like I probably messed up or it wasn't as good as I wanted to be on clean. So like they all end up working out. Just some of them are like a year or two, or it's like sometimes you just like get fed up with the piece and I just like hide it and then I'll take it out.
That was gonna be my next question, is like, what's the longest you've worked on a piece that not like a collection, like
I posted on Instagram
piece.
yesterday. It was like a 3 or 4 year piece where it's just a ton of going on, and like I don't know. I saw it the other day. I'm like, this could really use some bolder coloration in here. So I just took it out, and I mean, until I sell it, I feel like I can do whatever I want to them.
Do you like painting on or creating on canvas? Do you stretch your own? Is it found objects ever? Like what's your preferred medium?
Probably just canvas is probably, I don't know. Actually, my preferred is just large things of paper, but I've not really found a market. Like I think it's my best work, but people really like canvas. So like, you know, some of my best NFTs I think are ones that start as paper. And I think it's some of my best work because I can add detail and write stuff in there and do more with it. But as far as like what sells, it's canvas, and then mostly just buy pre-made canvas, except when I'm going really big, because then if I sell them, I have to like roll it up in a tube anyway, and like
Sure.
Right now, I've like got like 4 or 5 huge ones, and they just take up like way too much space in my studio. So because they're framed and whatnot. So if I had my exact way, it'd probably be all huge canvases. But like I need a bunch of rich people to get into my work real quick.
Well, we only exclusively stream to rich people, so
perfect.
Not a problem. Your DMs will be flooded tomorrow. Don't worry.
Excellent.
This cool piece.
That one is Keith Grossman owns that 101.
Oh, nice.
He was like an early big collector of mine, and then I found this at like I always go looking in like different old bookstores, and I found this like from the 70s. It's like, let me draw on it and give it to Keith.
Nice.
Oh, so that's an overpainting.
So that's an actual Time, like from the 70s, like a Time magazine that I just like painted on top of.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you keep the cover? Did you keep it all intact, the original, or did you?
I mailed it. He has it up in his office.
That's dope. That's really cool.
So, yeah, he's got the original and the NFT. That was a gift. Like early on, I think. I mean, he's still around, but like in 2021, he was like one of the, I would say, key influencers in the space.
For sure. Oh yeah.
And someone who like always put me on, you know, did timepieces with me and introduced me to some good collectors. And I don't know, when people are menches to me, I try to return the favor.
Love it. Well, speaking of
That's
returning
awesome.
the favor,
Ooh.
this is a pretty good time to share art from other people that we maybe have collected or just think their art is really cool and deserve a bigger spotlight. What do you guys think? We do a little show and tell?
Let's do it.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. When I come back, my mic will maybe work.
We'll
That's
see.
fine. Well, here we go. 2025 show and tell. Let's run it.
Get it.
Maybe.
Yep.
We can hear you. It worked.
Hey.
2025 is going to be a great year. It's better than Groundhog's Day. When you hear Adam, you know it's a great year.
I like it. We're going to use that as a sound clip. I don't clip enough things, but I'll start with that one.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. This is the part of the show where each of us has collected work or just found work that we thought was really cool and it deserves a bigger spotlight. And so we'll go around the room here. I'm the only one who kind of knows what everybody else has picked, and so a lot of the times it's all new to everybody. And at the end of the show, we will link all of the pieces up on our Art First Twitter account, and you can go give them some love. So Gabe, we're going to start this off with you, with this piece here coming to the stage, Dopamine Retest. There you go. I'm not familiar with this artist, but let's take a look. So, Dopamine Retest by Victor Reyes Studio.
Victor Reyes.
It's really cool.
He is in San Francisco, which is a Bay Area. You know, is where I'm at. Pretty famous graffiti artist. He also lives some in Detroit, but probably my favorite abstract painter. He was early into NFTs and then kind of got burnt out and then started collecting on the collecting side. And we lost him to like PFPs and selling apes and all that for a little bit. But he does stuff with some plotters. Like I'd never seen a piece like this, which feels very digital, but like he's a physical painter that I would encourage everyone to check out his like website or something, but like he's my favorite.
It looks like it was run through like dithering.
Yeah.
Yeah, parts of it do. It's like a dither brush on top, but it doesn't, like some of it underneath has that clean line still. So it's not like a filter on top.
Yeah. Really
interesting way of blending it.
My guess is this started as a regular painting and then he added some digital, After Effects to it. I haven't talked to him about it, but to me, he's like Bay Area's finest abstract painter. He has a few NFTs, but I know I collected one in like 2021. But
that's really cool.
This was him. He's only done one thing on Rodeo. I think he's one of these people who I think has healthy skepticism of the space, but kind of wants to be involved in it. So I thought the name, even Dopamine Retest, like, should I try? Like, I think a lot of really great artists didn't get the love that they deserve. And so it becomes like, it's pretty easy to get a little bitter about this space if like you're not, you see certain artists that you think you're better at, like doing a lot better than you. But I mean, yeah, I've done a studio visit with him. To me, he's just world-class abstract artist. And so when I saw that he posted on Rodeo that he had done one, I just had to get it.
Yeah, it's good.
Just
best 30 cents I ever spent.
Yeah. We all got some feelings on that one, don't we?
We all got our feelings in right.
I will say, if you check the last like 6 or so episodes of this show, I very heavily relied on Rodeo. As this was before they.
You were ahead of the curve.
I mean, I didn't mint on there, but I was ahead of the curve in terms of like, wanting to spotlight it, because for what it's worth, at the baseline, it was and kind of still is one of the best places for discovery of artists. I wish that was paired with a better mechanic to provide a source of income or funding for the artists. I don't think that is set up in a way that is equitable. But again, for what it's worth, I was racking my brain for this, picking people this week, because I didn't want to just do one platform, but it is also a damn good place for discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Gabe's on there.
I'm on there. I mean, for me, I think of it more as getting paid for social media than an NFT, honestly. And if say 25, we'll say even 10% of people had given me a like between Twitter and Instagram over the last 10 years, 10% gave me 30 cents, I would have a couple $1 million. I mean, my Instagram's like 120,000 followers, and a lot of it gets thousands.
I get it.
Gets thousands of likes. So I get part of me is like, if Instagram just buys Rodeo and I start getting a few $1,000s per piece that I post, like, that would be incredible. I mean, right now, I think it has its issues. I think some artists are going to be really smart in how they do this. Like, I'm going to be really pushing people to my email list, which is like, if all the alpha I can ever give any artist is like, build your email list. I have like 7,000 people on mine. Some of us can't do Bryan Brinkman's numbers on Twitter. So like,
I only got a few hundred on my email list. I'm jealous. Email's better than Twitter, for sure.
I gotta get on my email list.
That was the biggest alpha. Like, I think, I wouldn't say 90, but I would say 50% of my success was based on how I sold NFTs. I would always be like, DM me for details, DM me for details. And then after people would DM me, I'd say, I send an email 30 minutes before. All of my drops have been selling out within a few minutes. So like, your best chance of ever getting one is being on my email list. And just by having that little interaction over DMs with them, and then them getting on my email list, and then the proof kept being in the pudding, like everything would sell out right away. So then they're like, this email list is gold. But
here, let's go back in time. Just tell me that. That sounds great.
Yeah,
it's really good advice.
I still think it works, honestly. Yeah. I don't do it enough, but I'm going to be using this tool to do email, like to push emails, because like we have no control over algorithms. And
it's really smart.
And
not a lot of people right now. There's as many spam emails and garbage emails as people get. If it's from somebody that I really care about and want to see, that's probably more likely a place I'm going to see their stuff in an email. So
I did politics 20 years. Like, my email, like, I thought 3% was like gold for me from the big giant emails I would send out. And I was at like in the heyday, 70 and 80% open rate.
Wow.
Which, like, coming from politics, literally was blowing my mind.
No, I tried. I need to do it again. I was trying to do like a quarterly email recap.
Those were good
folders. I got to get back into it.
Those were good. I remember those.
It's great advice. I learned that early on from Josie Bellini. She was really good at. She would basically sell out all of her drops to her email list before it ever hit the public, so you had to subscribe to it to get it.
Yeah,
it's just really powerful.
That's what I'd recommend every artist do, and I need to get better at like actually putting out emails. But I just think the big email list is probably going to be your best chance of making it as an artist going forward.
Smart.
All right, well, let's go forward in time here and find some more art.
Who's up next?
Bryan, you are up next with a little piece here. From a very talented AI artist, Clown Vamp. And it looks like this was part of the collection recently that was helped, one of the collections out there that's helping to raise funds for victims of the LA fires.
Correct. You nailed it. Collaboration with Merch, if I'm saying that right. But I want to give Clown Vamp a shout out. He was one of the stars of the Tokyo event. He he brought his junk machine to Tokyo. You walk into a room, you press a button, you get a random piece of art. Here's an example of one. And, you know, he's just doing awesome work. This was my first NFT of his I collected, which was really exciting. But yeah, he's just, you know, really emerging as a very strong artist right now in terms of creating really fun AI work and also creating really fun experiences around it. And so I know he tours that machine around. So if he comes to your town, I recommend it.
That's awesome, man. This is really good stuff. I'm familiar with Clown Vamp, and the first thing I saw that they did, and I'm not going to say the name of the collection because I'll mess it up, but it was storytelling with the detective series, Clown Vamp, and it was really just brilliantly done. So much work, like, you know, when anyone gripes about AI and just how easy it is, it's not easy to create full experiences and immersive things like that. So, you know, really cool to see, and that's awesome that you got a piece from the live show.
Yeah, he was in Marfa too. I don't know. I'm very impressed with it. Super nice, like easygoing guy too. But I think what he's doing is kind of important in the space. Like,
it's branching out. Especially, there's a lot of apprehension towards AI in the world, and he's a very easy link to onboard people into it in a way that is not scary.
yeah, big fan.
That's awesome. Okay. All right, we're gonna move on. Here's a piece that I did not collect but thought was really cool. This is called Fraternal Twins. Andy Kuhn. Andy Kuhn is the artist.
That's hilarious.
I'm not typically into art that has logos on it, but then yes, it takes you a second to see the full image here and understanding. But I was drawn to it in terms of, like, you know, the color, the contrast, the way, you know, the cheekiness of it. It felt very editorial in a good way, like something I could find in an article about the two, you know, currencies on like, you know, the New Yorker. But really, just like it there's something that really spoke to me about the piece, and it was done in a really cool way. So yeah, no, I was drawn to it, and I think
both chains are grabbing each other by the balls.
I was gonna say I like this. I was like, this is kind of your thing, right? Like all of your pieces have some sort of ball grab, right?
I mean, you know, if anyone's followed me for the last few years, that's really been my focus.
Fluffy ball grab.
Fluffy ball grabbing art is the tagline for, you know. What kind of art do you do? Well, let me show you.
It doesn't have much detail, but a lot of detail in the bulge of the.
The bulge is there. They're both bulging, aren't they?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like it. I never heard of the artist either.
Yeah, well, afterwards it's going to be fun, right? So we put out this recap, and then people can go and like find and follow all the artists. All right, Gabe, you are up next. We're going to go Triple Threat. Ooh. Right there. Triple Threat is a piece here by Bradley.
I love Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley's work is great. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this, and why on earth did you gravitate towards something like this?
So weird, right?
So weird.
Yeah. He did a Stoic collab, and then he did another one right after, and I like end up buying like a ton of them because I was just obsessed. Like, I think you talk about artists that maybe didn't get their due love is because he was doing so much other stuff with brand building, and I know he did this whole experience with like McCormick's spices and stuff. Like he's like a Web3 genius. He's on the spectrum, and right, like this is actually like a previous piece is like the cover of a book he did about people on the spectrum. But like he's just a genius guy. He's been a good friend for 3 or 4 years now, I guess early days. And I think I mean, to me, it's like cubism meets animation in just a very clever way.
It's really fun.
I love it. I would incorporate more of this into my work, except I really don't know how to do it justice like this. But
Well, you got a collaboration
opportunity,
yeah. I mean, we've done a little bit of collabing, or just one, I guess. But to me, he would be a good example of someone that I would collab with, who I just think does spectacular stuff.
Totally, yeah. And talking about brand building, that eyeball in the middle is like such a distinctly Bradley eyeball. Like anytime I see that, I know it's his work. And I'm glad that we went from balls to boobs. Very good segue.
It is look, if nothing else, we're a classy show. Gentlemen, let's move on down the line here. Let's go to a pick from Bryan, and we'll go from cartoon to cartoon. That'll be the leap. Class of 2024. We're so back by, I'm gonna say Penguit.
Yeah.
Penguit. Adorable.
He's awesome.
One day
yearly.
One day I'll make it into these.
That's what I said last year, and he was very kind to remember me saying, my goal is to get on this, and he put me in this year's, because he's done this I think 3 or 4 years now.
I love every time he does it.
I'm at that top left area
right here,
but it's just so fun, and like a lot of care and love in it, and I just think it's awesome piece, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So I'll of course share it because it's my ego.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, man. It's
bottom
great.
left is like a little yellow fluffy thing. I'm gonna say Adam's in there too.
You see a yellow fluffy thing? I'll just take it.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, bottom left, you see it next to the chill guy. Yeah, right there.
That's a little fluffy. Yeah.
Fluffy.
Sure.
I think
we'll go
Adam
with that for now.
Yeah, Adam made
it. Woohoo! But it's so funny. Because you're right. When you see these, and obviously, they can only be so, exhaustive, right? There's so many people in the space. But yeah, when you see one of these and you're like, oh, you look around, did I make it? Am I in it?
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is for me.
I get it. I get the feeling, man.
Like, no one's going to hype me being on this more than me. It's like, I was on the premiere NFT podcast.
And also, it's fun to see some of our past guests are in this one. I see F. Dot, I see Seneca. And yeah, it's
and then I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, here's who we should get, here's who we should get.
Well, it's also it shows me how chronically online I am, that I know like 95% of the things in this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent too much time on the but it's awesome.
No. Good stuff. You know what? I'm throwing it out there. We're gonna hope for some good karma, because it is indeed good
Next
stuff.
year is me. I'm putting that out there.
Yeah, get Gabe in there.
Yep.
All right.
Gabe and Adam in there.
You and me, buddy. We'll be in the next year. This is our.
If you bother him on Twitter enough, it'll happen. That's what I learned.
Okay.
We're 2026, right? It's Penguit and Sharpie. There it is.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're going to move around one more time here. We have a couple left to go. Oh, I didn't put a name in there. Was it untitled? I don't think it was. Let's see. Here we go. This piece right here, Nuance by Eder Cruz, I believe is the artist. I don't know. This just hit me. This was gorgeous.
Really
and I believe it's painted.
Really? Physically?
I believe
digital paint.
Digital paint.
Yeah.
But painted nonetheless.
Very much. Yeah, that's really cool. I love the kind of warped texture to it.
Yeah.
Mix of brushes.
I mean, even like right here in terms of like gradients that go through, the emotion that comes through. I
love NFTs that could be in a living room. Like this feels like if it was blown up as a painting or just on a big screen, like it would look incredible in a living room, which is not the case for the vast majority of
it's true.
art.
Some of this is giving me like Michael Kutcha vibes, right? Like in terms of the gradients and the line work, just in terms of past guests who've had amazing work that like this. It was striking, and
Love it.
yeah, stopped me in my tracks. All right, I think we got 3 more pieces left. Gabe, we're going to go back to you here. You're pretty fly. I like a good pun. Dad world. Can't not enjoy a good pun. This is pretty awesome though. And
I've always loved close-ups of like flies and bees and stuff, just generally. And I thought the lighting on this one and like the little hairs that you can see both on the fly and on the leaf, I thought are pretty spectacular. The artist who does it is just mostly consider themselves like a collector, but they started going on rodeo, and like to me it tickles me when artists who don't consider themselves artists make what I think is really awesome like art, and it's like a photo. But like, big fan of X Copy, thinks he's done a lot for the space, but like give me this all day over the X Copy fly. Like if X Copy put this out, he would have sold 5 million instead of just 2 million.
LFG. This is LFG Web3 is the artist who doesn't think they're an artist. It's really nice.
I think like
really
Hustle
well done.
Trees maybe, or Hustle.
Oh, okay. They're just their handle then. My bad. Hustle Trees.
But I don't know. This photo really did something for me. I thought it just like the closer you get, it still holds up, which like I don't think happens that often. So it's like the camera he's using must be real good.
I always like macro
lighting.
It's just
that
scientific feel.
Yeah,
I think there's nature photography is. There was a moment in 2021 where like photography kind of expanded, but don't see a lot of nature photographers. I mean, you see a lot of kind of landscape photographers like Kath Simard or Ben Scar, but not a lot of like animal, insect type like nature stuff.
I can't think of any, honestly. Like no. So this feels like maybe a missing component in the Web3 space, but I like this one a lot.
I'm a big fan of like looking at people who do photographs through microscopes. So like looking at tardigrades and all the little amoebas and single cell organisms. I'm going down like a rabbit hole on TikTok now with that kind of stuff. It's just
don't look up Doritos. I just saw a video like 2 days ago, and it was like all the bugs on Doritos. And I was like,
no. What? Don't. You don't have to tell me not to look something up.
It's all fun and games looking in the microscope. It's all fun and games until it's like on some of your favorite food, and you're like, all is lost.
My guy. I mean, that might be the best thing for my diet.
Yeah.
Just tell me there's bugs crawling on everything I eat. It's the flavor that tastes better. Okay. All right, man. I'll just try to shake that thought, and instead, Bryan, we'll go to you. Okay, this is lightweight reconstruction number 66. So I don't know what's going on here, but it looks cool.
I don't know if you respawn it, if it respawns.
I'm going to save this page. I'm going to save it.
It'll draw. But yeah, it's Gallo. This was an Art Blocks release a week or two ago. It still might be minting.
It's not refreshing.
It's okay.
Redrawing.
But if you look at it, I thought I thought this piece was cool because it's kind of this like crushed construction beam feel. But the actual collection is very diverse with outputs, and I thought it was a very strong stuff. But if you go to the main collection and look at it, you can see it really.
I will forever always forget.
Where are you going?
I'll always forget how to get to the main.
Just click at the very top.
No. Very top. First, I have to go down here.
Click the name. There you go.
Like I don't spend enough time on here.
And then click that fourth button on the right. At the top. No. Next to search.
Next to search.
Button all the way on the right. It changes it so that you see the image is bigger. Nope. Other way. Right.
Oh
That's
my
left.
gosh. This is
Other end. Other end.
There we go.
Go to
Maybe.
the right. Go to the right one. There you
Welcome
go.
to old guy
There you
uses
go.
computer.
Wild
yeah,
that this is all the same algorithm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That
And they spawn. Let me see if they draw or if they. Is that nope? Maybe it happens very quickly.
It is.
That's
It
cool.
is rendering, I think, but they might have just done a still for OpenSea or whatever. But
Yeah.
I thought it was
Wow.
It's really really fun stuff. And
these are really cool.
It might still be minting, but I feel like it really kind of went under the radar because it's not a curated release. It's a part of their. Art Blocks has this kind of more open-ended playground type. It used to be called Playground, now it's called something else. But they have this where artists can do drops on there. This one was really interesting.
This is Gallo and stuff.
Gallo and other CA, I think.
Really cool. Wow.
I can't think of anything I've seen in the space that looks like this.
It looks like 3D renderings.
Yeah, so try clicking on one of them. We'll go down the rabbit hole here, and then go to the top right, 3 dots. Actually, that one's owned by Snowfro. Look at that. Usually, there's a button that says
view on
site. Yeah.
Okay, so not crazy. I definitely couldn't find it the other day when looking.
But
I think OpenSea might have changed how they.
Yeah, OpenSea's been switching stuff up because their 2.0 is coming out soon.
I can copy the image address, but I think that just gets me to a larger version of.
Yeah, that's okay. But
all right,
shout out to this drop. Really cool and really colorful. I got a black and white one, but I like the color ones too. I might have to mint another.
Nice. All right. Then we've got one more piece. This piece here that I saw on Exchange Art, which is also another really awesome place to find cool stuff. And this is an artist, Flory Art. I really don't know anything about this piece, but I thought it was gorgeous.
Really cool.
Yeah. I don't know how it was made. I don't know what it was, but I just know I really like distortion of form, and the color palette really looks really nice here, and it just hit me. Yeah,
it looks like digital painting. It kind of reminds me of Dario De Siena's kind of portraiture work. He did some like really nice brushy stuff, but this one's even more using the brush strokes as this kind of like cloak to hide the face is really clever.
Yeah,
really beautiful, almost translucent.
Yeah, the distortion on it feels really good, and it's always it might be painted.
It almost looks 3D rendered almost to get that kind of effect, but
yeah. That really that top stroke that goes across the face is so interesting.
This guy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost has like a beveled edge.
That one really does it for me. Really kind of has like an oil painting feel, but like in 3D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just always fascinated with things that look like if you took a digital tool, but then, did it with high-end, materials, whether or not that had the way it was done, it just has that look of, taking some of the best of like digital artifacts and making them feel more physical.
Yeah, really neat. I'm definitely curious to learn more.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely go and give a follow to this person and anyone else that we've talked about today on the show. But that is pretty much getting to the end here. Before we go, Gabe, you got anything you want to plug or, leave us with any final thoughts?
Get on my email list.
That is apparently the deal.
GabeWeis.com. Get on, sign up for my email list. You'll get all the
alpha.
That is the alpha.
Yeah.
Don't have anything exactly planned, but we'll be doing an ordinals drop this year, at least one, if not two. Woo. And then, I like to stay in the meta. I like to steal good ideas when I see it. So when Bryan comes up with something genius, and then 2 weeks later there's a Gabe Weis version, or you, Adam, like just know that I'm not above stealing a good idea to stay hip.
It means we're doing something right.
Right.
It does. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gabe, for coming and hanging out with us and taking some time, talking process and shop. And I want to thank everybody else who's out there watching either live or, doing their dishes and listening to us. We appreciate all of you guys. And
very responsible doing dishes.
It was the first thing that I could think of that, like, when I listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It helps pass the time when you're doing, monotonous things, and then you get to learn interesting stuff. But
I really appreciate you guys very much for including me.
Dude, it's our pleasure
to have you on.
Yeah. Very cool.
And thanks for sharing.
All right. Then we will we'll catch you all in the next one. And until then, have a good day, have a good New Year's, and we'll talk soon. Later.